Boy, y'all know I like that part when that bass drop, boy. Just be wanna thank you again, Big Cub, for them, boy. Because y'all did yourself with this one, boy. Thank you. Welcome back to Barbershop Talking Random-ish. I am your master barber, Enrique Antadio Kane. It is I. And you see, the rest of us has left me in here by myself. But y'all know how it is. In fact, my boy Sam is recovering. Slim Fit is recovering. And hopefully he'll be back in here soon. Black Lassie owner. Out doing this thing. In fact, he in the peak season is upon us. So you be good to see him because him tired, boss. And our boy, chair number one, wherever him is. What's up with your boy? What's up with your boy? Your chair waiting on you, my boy. Love you, boy. But we are back in the barbershop with Tim Denson, mayor candidate. Why is that word so hard to say? That mayoral.
It's from the South. We got
lazy
tongues.
We got too many vowels.
Mayoral candidate. Yeah, that was y'all. But in here with Tim Denson having pretty good conversation. He is running for the upcoming mayor seat. When exactly is
the election?
Yes.
May 19th.
May 19th.
May 19th, 2026.
May 19th, 2026.
Yeah.
And like I said, we have Tim is the third candidate that we've had in the barbershop. We've also had Dexter Fisher and Lakeisha Gant, who and we are hoping to get the other two candidates to come through because, like I said, to give the community an opportunity to get this information so they can make the best decision for the classic city. This is the time. I mean, like I said, I'm not a politic. I'm not into politics. I don't do them, but I know the information is needed for the community. So that's why we're here, and that's why we're doing this, and hopefully we're going to do this a few more times so that, like I say, that I can get the best information out to my community. So with that being said, like I told you, I got a few questions from
and
I'm gonna read it verbatim. He wrote, "You champion the 50-10 plan to significantly reduce the size and budget of the Athens County Police Department. Many residents feel that it was an irresponsible move that would compromise safety. Can you assure Athens residents that as mayor, you would not propose or support measures that reduce the overall number of police officers until alternative crisis response teams are fully staffed, operational, and effective at handling all non-violent calls?"
Yeah, I can completely agree with that because actually the 50-10 plan, that was how it was structured. I mean, the 50-10 plan was, it wasn't going to reduce the public safety budget, but it was going to move 50% of the budget that was going straight towards police department or incarcerating folks and move that instead to alternative police kind of units instead that could focus on mental health situations, dealing with homelessness, suicide prevention, mental health crisis, those lower level nonviolent crimes. And it was going to do it over 10 years. So 50% over 10 years. So it was only going to be changing 5% per year over 10 years so that we would do it in a responsible way, taking a decade where we could be transferring that responsibility to those alternative response kind of teams. So that was the whole goal in the first place. Now, I'll admit, I think that Athens Clark County wasn't ready for it whenever me and Commissioner Parker pushed for that. But the crazy thing is that some of the parts of that plan we've actually put in place now, including expanding our co-responder teams, including moving funding into alternative response kind of models. And I do still believe that we need to be doing that. So many people who end up in our jail right now, so many people I work with who are experiencing homelessness or experiencing a crisis, we get so many folks who are unhoused who end up spending days, weeks, sometimes months in jail because of, trespassing, because they're on the sidewalk of a business and the business had kicked them out 2 months before. So now you're sitting in jail for a long time. And we had to send a place where they could have shelter. Again, expanding the amount of shelter we have. So, yes, to that question, I do commit to that because the idea that was in place was always going to be doing it in a slow, methodical, responsible way. And first,
instead of engaging in things that might not be safe for them, putting them something that they may regret for the rest of their lives.
mm-hmm.
But Leisure Services decided that would be the week that they would do that. Leisure Services, from some of the conversations I had, Athens Clarke County is the only county that have leisure services. Leisure Services, since they've been in the works, a lot of the programs that were set up for the kids, like that, some of the after-school programs that was keeping some of these kids safe, went away. Some of the park use went away. Some of the things, especially for a lot of the kids in my community, they went away. What are your plans for the youth? Because we have a major gang problem.
Mm-hmm.
We have a major violence problem. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it started to increase when a lot of these programs went away. What is your plan to help these youth, to give the youth something to do productive, so we can see if we can bring this number down?
Yeah. First to that question about the Thanksgiving. I'll just say right there, that's the fact that happened is really poor planning, and I think just showing that we have a lot of our entities not talking well enough. So for like low-hanging fruit, which is always how I try to focus, like look around, like, all right, what low-hanging fruit can we tackle, get in place really quickly and easily, that's at least going to take some bites away at that problem. One of the things is I want to come back, if I'm mayor, and I will do everything I can as mayor, can't force the current school board, but everything I can to once again have regular every semester meetings between the mayor and commission and the superintendent and the school board. These used to happen years ago, and they have not happened. And I think it's problems like that could be recognized ahead of time, where if the school board and the mayor and commission had met, say at the beginning of the semester in August or September, and it could come up, be like, oh, just like also we're gonna have some of our youth centers and the gyms closed in this week in November. They could be like, oh, whoa, that's actually, and be like, oh wow, that's probably not the best week for us to do it. We could easily do that the first week of December instead, moving it back 1 week. I think if we were sitting down talking to each other, that could take away some of those kind of issues. I think a lot of times are just poor planning and poor communication. Now digging into some of the bigger issues, I think a lot of this is tied in with the school district. And I think, on the school board, we've been trying to take some steps at this. We did work with the county to create the new youth development program that we have, which is doing after-school sports. I think flag football, volleyball, basketball, soccer at almost every single elementary school across the county now. And we're also doing it where it's no fee necessary, so anybody can do it. You're never going to be able to, be priced out of being able to go into that program. And I think that shows like a really great way that the school board the school district and the county have worked together. They're basically sharing the funding for that whole program, which is fantastic. So like you said, well, in middle school and high school, I definitely had too much idle time, and I definitely got into some mixed up things. And honestly, I think I got really you need people who are going to help you help steer you out of that trouble, away from that trouble, and also, like you said, just things that are alternatives to doing it in the first place. So when it comes to that steering part, I really think that we need to be focusing in our schools, but outside of it too, but really the schools is the main place that we interact with this when it comes to the mental health of our students. This isn't just to do with, in general and gangs and stuff like that too, but also like looking at this larger problem we have with just violence and the shootings that are happening and the bullying that's happening that's become so prevalent in our schools. We need to have a lot more mental health professionals working in our schools, getting to know our students, having the time to work with them one-on-one, recognize when issues or problems are happening in the first place, and not just with the students, but also maybe at home. We talk about truancy a lot. And a lot of times the way that truancy has been tackled here in the state of Georgia is, we'll threaten to send the parents to jail. That'll work. It doesn't work. But that's what they send letters home to you saying that you possibly can go to jail because your kid's not showing up at school. What we need to be doing is having, again, unique individual focus. You see this kid, Johnny's not been showing up. It's really gotten worse. You can see it happening. You need to have a case manager, somebody that can sit down with Johnny, but also with Johnny's parents. What barriers are showing up that we could possibly help with? We can't help with everything. But what things are going on here that, again, are maybe some low-hanging fruit that we can remove to help him showing up and help be successful at school? There's no shortcuts to that kind of thing. You can't pass one fits-all policy and everybody's like, we're going to fix truancy. You need to be focusing on those individual students to be able to tackle those kind of problems. And I think it's a similar thing when it comes to gangs. And, we've been trying, and some schools have really kind of it's trying to figure out what's going on, how they can turn things around for them. And I think we need to be working closer when it comes to our police department and also, our county when it comes to after-school programs. But this isn't going to be I'm not going to sit here and lie and say, did we put this policy in place? You get it fixed. The fact is just like a lot of leaders and a lot of systems here in Athens have dropped the ball over the last few decades, and we're now reaping the consequences of that. And it's going to take some years, I think, and get it back on course. And I think other ways the county needs to be doing it is, we started funding the Grand Slam again for teens. But why did that funding ever disappear in the first place, right? It disappeared for 20 years. Thankfully, Karina Gallagher came to commission meetings over and over and over again until we couldn't ignore it anymore, and we put the funding back in place, and for good measure. So we need to be finding all those different kind of programs that we can be doing. It's going to take some money. It's going to take some investment. And it's going to take a lot of man hours. But I think the first and foremost thing we do, again, is just work on that communication between all those different systems that have some oversight over our kids, and to see how we can be working better together.
As I was looking over your platform, one of the things that you support is supporting Black and minority-owned businesses. Why is that important to you?
It's important to me because there has been a historic disparity in Athens and honestly the South and the entire country, that for many years, minority and Black-owned businesses were not given the same access and benefits that white-owned businesses were. And therefore, they weren't given the ability to accrue the same amount of wealth and just be as competitive. And especially when it comes to government contracts, specifically with the county, but also with the school district. So whenever I was on the commission, me and Commissioner Jesse Houle pushed for the disparity study to be put in place so that we could actually study to see where that historic racial disparities happen when it's come to how our business has been treated here in Athens. Because what it is that the federal government says that a government can only take action if we can prove that there has been a historic racial disparity when it comes to businesses. So we had to pay for this study first. We paid this company up in Durham, North Carolina, that done it up there and done a lot of great work. They came down and did it. Big surprise. They found a huge disparity that basically black and brown owned businesses and also women owned businesses have been basically pushed out, and the way that right?
No.
And then when I went to the school board, thankfully we ended up, actually it was like my first or second month on the school board, we voted to do the same thing for the school district. Not a big surprise. The same exact proof came back to us.
No.
Yeah.
In Athens?
Right.
No.
So, and here's the thing is that, so now both the county government and the school district have created their own committees to kind of analyze all the recommendations, which again, some low-hanging fruit. And if I want the school districts taking some steps, I think they're taking those steps too slow and sometimes forgetting the steps. It's like one of the big things that was happening in both instances is that the government, the school district, for example, would say, all right, we have these 8 really big construction bids that are going to be coming up in the next year. You know what? It's going to be a lot easier if we just put it in one bid and have companies bid for that. Of course, to have the capacity to bid for such a huge, giant, multi-tens of millions of dollars contract, you already have to have a lot of power and weight behind you, which really blocks out a ton of companies, especially most of the black and brown companies who are here. So one of the things they came back, and again, low-hanging fruit, is the recommendation is stop bundling these contracts. For one thing, it doesn't necessarily even save you money. All it does is maybe save you time, but it doesn't save you money. And if you unbundle them, then you're opening up the possibility to a lot of other businesses. Because now maybe one of those contracts, or one of those 8, was for a specific concrete laying thing on one of the schools that was going to be, $60,000. And there is some like black-owned business that does concrete laying. They're like, oh, we don't have the capacity to do this entire giant thing, but that we can put a bid on that. We can actually have the best bid, and we can do that work. So when you start unbundling those things, you start really opening up who could really possibly do that work, and therefore who could benefit from it. And so that's one of the steps that we are trying to take now on both sides. Another thing that we've done, which has been pretty cool, but we need to do a lot more, is just start doing these like engagement classes. That's like, we're going to try to take away, because it's complicated, we're going to try to take away how complex it is to be able to bid for these things, to become a contractor, an approved contractor with these different entities. So instead, we're going to have like a liaison who, if you've never done this before, no big deal. We'll walk you through the paperwork, we'll get you set up, and then you can start putting in bids. Take away that mystery from it, which a lot of times, as we know, was intentional. That mystery was intentionally put there so that some people never could get through that murkiness. Mm-hmm. So that's another, again, low-hanging fruit. And again, what it goes back to is that what those studies showed is that there was intentional racial disparities put in place. And so therefore, and since we did that study, we now have the ability to intentionally make sure that we have policies in place that are going to specifically help black and brown and women businesses be able to get a leg up, because for so many years and decades,
Why are you the best candidate for mayor?
I think I'm the best candidate for mayor for 2 big reasons. One is I have experience with this work. I'm the only person running that's actually finished a term on the county government on any level. I'm a certified county commissioner. I went through like hundreds of hours of trainings and classes with the Association of County Commissioners of Georgia to get certified, to understand how all these different policies at the county level. And also have experience, again, as a school board member and homeless services, writing housing policy, because I was on the Georgia Initiative for Community Housing. I was on the Inclusionary Housing Task Force. So a lot of these biggest problems that we have facing Athens Clarke County right now, I have intentional experience working on those problems and working on policy for those problems. And also just the largest amount of time working in government in the first place. But the other thing is that not only do I have that experience, but I also have a proven track record of actually getting things done and getting ambitious things done. When I ran for mayor in 2014, I had people telling me that there is no way that we could get some of the bold policies I was campaigning on. I was campaigning on having a zero fare public transit system. I was campaigning on having an eviction prevention program put in place so that we could stop people being evicted here in Athens Clarke County. I was campaigning on transitioning our electrical systems to solar power instead of having to rely on Georgia Power for all of our power for everything. Some of these big ideas, having a low-income homestead exemption in place, so that, like you talked about, having a lot of these aging populations who are on fixed incomes get priced out of their houses because their assessment's going up. I wrote the ordinance for the first ever low-income homestead exemption in the state of Georgia that would freeze the property taxes for anybody who was under 200% of the federal poverty level, so that their property taxes would no longer go up no matter what happened to everything around them. Their taxes would not go up. So I campaigned all these things. I was told in debates and stuff, every single one of those policies I just mentioned, I spearheaded and got done, actually passed, and we have them in place right now. And so whenever I bring up ambitious ideas like we can cut in half the number of people who are experiencing chronic homelessness in Athens, I've had people tell me, that's insane, you can't do that. I believe we can. I believe we can make it where every family in Athens Clarke County can have the means to be able to pay for childcare. And we can do that by increasing the amount of subsidies that we pay for childcare, because that's, for a lot of families, including my family, it was the number 2 biggest expense after housing was childcare. And also, of course, right, if you have childcare provided, then heck, you've opened up possibly another parent who can go get a job or go back to school or do other things, right? You're helping that kid, but also the parents that are there, helping the entire family. So while I'm being told already again, like, we can't do these things, we can't afford these things, we can't find them. If we have the political will, we have people who aren't scared to make the hard decisions sometimes, we can get these things done. And so
you're a musician. What's your genre of music?
What's that?
What's the genre?
The genre?
Yeah.
A little bit of everything. I first played in some punk bands whenever I was coming up, but I've also really loved folk rock, especially like Neil Young and stuff like that. So I ended up also having a indie folk band that I toured and played in over 40 states across the country for many, many years, hundreds of shows. But I also backed up people in all different kinds of genres, playing guitar or keyboards or percussion, anything I could join in on. I honestly just kind of love music. It's what brings me peace. When I go home tonight, almost every night before I go to bed, I go in to sit down and either play the guitar or piano for at least 5 minutes, because it brings my heart rate down, clears my head, kind of gets me ready for bed. It's kind of what brings me peace, and it's my biggest stress reliever.
So as part of your platform, you plan to support the musicians and the artists. How do you plan on doing that? And why is that important to you?
Why is it important to me?
And I am part of this community. I was gone for over 20 years, but coming back to this community, I like to call him my tour guide, Montu, reintroduced me that when I left in '96, I had to be reminded that I was part of. So, and my guy Larry is a phenomenal poet. In fact, his latest book is out and it's on Amazon. That's Larry Sheets. And please look him up on Amazon. And his latest book of poetry is out. And in fact, the first week in February, we're gonna do a big thing on his book. But he is part and next Wednesday we're gonna be at Hendershots, where that community where we come together once a month there and just let the arts fill the room and bless the room. Why is this so important to you?
I think it's like, it sounds a little corny, but it's the soul of the city, right? I mean, there's the why, right? There's the, we want to make Athens affordable. We want it to be this place that people can work and receive enough pay that they can live here comfortably. But it's but why? And the why is because of the beauty of this community that I think is in this city. And that's the people. That's the things that we create. That's the things that we make. It's the stories we tell. It's the stories we live. You take away art and music and poetry and that's the heart of all of us. I think even though those of us who don't realize it maybe. And music's the biggest thing that does that for me, but I also massive lover of physical art. My wife is an artist, a ceramicist. My daughter calls herself an artist, and I believe she is an artist. So it's something that I make all my Christmas cards I do block printing. It's another love I have. So where you take a piece of rubber or wood and you carve it, and you carve the design into it backwards, and then ink it, and then you print your own. So I make over 100 Christmas cards like that every single year. I'm actually behind right now. I should be doing it right now. I should have brought it with me. I could have been doing it while we were talking.
Yes, you could.
But I do this every single year, and some of my family think it's that I can do with my hands. Afterwards, I can look at what I made. I can be proud of it. I can share it with people. Right, and that's it. We get to share all these things with people. So I think that's one of the biggest reasons that's important to me. And I can honestly say, I would have never come to this town that is, I believe, the best town that I've ever lived in, and I would argue the best town in the world, that has treated me so amazingly well. I would never came here if it wasn't for the music and art scene. I gravitated towards because of people with the art that they're doing, in their very creative own unique ways with the music scene and stuff. That's why I moved here. And I think that's one of the reasons that Athens is so unique and people love Athens so much. And I think all of that is very much in danger of being forgotten a lot of times because the people who are doing that kind of thing, right, they're not necessarily driven for money or being the most successful at their corporate job. Their passion is to make that music and art. Yes. So for a long time, Athens was a place that you normal town for $900 that I split with 3 other roommates. And we did that so that we had a recording studio in the back that we all shared and used. We played house shows at our house. We lived to create. And we could do that in Athens because it was cheap enough. You can't do that now. And therefore, those kind of people are being driven away.
Yes, because me and my wife looked at a house in Normal Town, and we could probably sit in this room.
Yeah. Was
the total dimensions of the house was this room, and they.
It's insane. It's insane, and that used to be a working class neighborhood that had lots of artists and musicians living in it. But now it's very yuppie, and and those people are again being driven out to the edges of our community. So that's why it's so important to me, because I believe that you can lose the soul of Athens if we're not careful. And so back during the pandemic, was another time I was very scared of that, right? You had all of the places like Hindershots, all the venues and stuff, they were closed down. You didn't have anywhere to stand up those young, burgeoning artists and musicians to get support. And not just support from some stranger, but like from your own government. Like that feels good. Like your government, your city believes in you enough that they're going to give you a couple $1,000s to go make a record. I honestly think that we should be doing that kind of stuff. So that's one way I want to support the musicians, artists here. And another big way is that I believe the cultural festivals that we have, the Athens, the Twilight, all the different things that happen downtown, they need to be getting more funding and more support so they can actually expand out and get bigger. And so, and the grants that they've been receiving have been really stagnant over years, and they've been asking year after year that they need more funding. And so I want to double their funding. And the way we do that is by opening up an entertainment district in downtown where you have allowed, just like Winder has done now and Savannah has done, but it's done where you can only take those open containers in a government authorized cup that the bar basically pays $1 for. So when every time somebody takes that drink outside, that will bring in millions of dollars for that downtown entertainment district that we could then use to help fund those festivals and those music cultural festivals so they can get bigger and they can pay their artists more. So that's the second way I want to kind of help support them.
Of this for me is, like I said, getting the information.
Yeah.
Getting to know the people that are trying to run our communities. So I appreciate you for coming through the barbershop.
Yeah.
And having this conversation.
Well, I appreciate you having the barbershop existing. I mean, because I believe it's my job as a candidate, right? I need to be going out, meeting people where they're at, and you're helping provide another place where I can meet those people where they're at. So, yeah, that's not me. I'll say first, but I mean, also, I mean, you can easily say, of course, I'm going to say that's not me. But I think you can look at my history to say it's not me. When I was commissioner, over those 4 years I was there, I held over 35 town halls throughout my district. Almost every single month I held a town hall. Nobody else was holding town halls on the commission. Like maybe once every 4 years, maybe somebody would. One of the things I'm proud of is that I changed that culture, and now there's multiple commissioners who hold monthly town halls, which is awesome. But I held a town hall almost every single month and tried to, again, meet people where they're at, try to move them around, whether it was at a church, whether it was at Normal Bar, whether it was at one of the fire stations, whether it was at Oglethorpe Elementary School. Tried to move them around and have them where I could be. Not only that, I also knocked doors, not just when I was running for office, but I knocked doors while I was serving as a commissioner. If we had a potentially controversial thing happening in the neighborhood somewhere, I would, not only would I hold a town hall there, but I'd be like, you know what? Like over in Nottingham was for one. There was a couple of testy rezoning kind of things that were going on there. So I went over and if they couldn't make it to the town hall, I sat on some of those people's front porches for 30 minutes talking to them about it. I brought maps of the zoning change so they could look at and be informed and stuff. That's how I will be as mayor, and I already am committing that I will be holding those regular town halls as a mayor, but instead of just in my district, over the entire county. And again, being very intentionally making sure that I am going into those communities where there has rightfully been distrust of, say, white candidates, like in black community. I mean, I'm going to go into East Athens, and I'm going to put myself on the spot and be like, this is what's going on. But if I'm going to I'll take the criticism, and I'll also try to give some education. And that's why I'm going to be there, again, try to meet people where they're at, try to help people understand and be able to access the government more, because I feel like that's one of the biggest roles of the mayor and an elected official, is help people get access to this very complex and sometimes unwieldy government. All that being said, like I don't think that's who I am, but I'm also going to definitely admit with a beard who I take that onto myself, that I'm going to have to work even harder to earn that trust and to be there for that community and to be a resource for that community. It's not always going to work. Some people, historically, in all different places, sometimes they're not going to trust me. I'm going to do everything I can on my side. But, you know, I'm just going to do my best, to be honest. And but it's something I recognize. It's something I recognize as a community organizer that I learned a lot from. When I first started organizing, I made some mistakes. I got, rightfully, the first year of Athens for Everyone, I got called out in person by a couple of leaders from the Clark County NAACP because I stepped on some toes just moving forward too fast on things that I was a little too bullheaded about. And that was a lesson for me. And I appreciated those elders coming to me, and honestly, pretty nice way, and just being like, hey, Tim, I don't think you understand the history of all this. I don't think you understand the communities that are being affected here. I think you need to slow down, back up a little bit, and work with folks instead of for folks. So, I mean, that was a really helpful lesson that I've kept in mind, and that I'm just going to need to keep working on and getting better on as not just a mayor, but as a person.
Well, if you are elected mayor, around your 100-day mark, can we get you back in the barbershop?
You don't even have to wait the day 100, man. But yeah. But whenever we get, I mean, good. I mean, I honestly, I like doing this stuff. I like doing policy. Sometimes people knock me for being a bit of a policy wonk. I like doing policy, but I like working with community members, especially to come up with those policy solutions. The invitation if I lose. So I mean, hey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's and either way,
Yeah.
we would definitely have you back in the barbershop to let us know how it went.
Yeah.
So
I think it'd be a fun conversation.
yes. Once again, we thank you for coming through and having this conversation with us. And like I say, hopefully I can get the other two candidates just for a quick round robin.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome. We already have one debate, but actually not everybody could be there. So I mean, I think this, especially like a podcast format, I think could be a good way to do that. Yeah.
All right. Well, like I say, we thank you, and I guess we're gonna close this. Why you looking at me like that? There you go. The snickering going on.
Okay, can I plug my website really fast?
Yes, you can.
Okay,
yes,
yeah.
you can.
So
in
this,
fact, and that's my bad.
Oh, that's all right.
As a host, plug you.
Just real quick, just encourage folks to go to timforathens.com so you can check out the platform, learn more about my campaign. I try to be really transparent, so I want people to know how I feel about issues so that I can be held accountable for it. So you can check that out at the website. And then the only event I have coming up is, we're doing door knocking every Saturday at 1 o'clock. You can meet at the ACC library. We're doing that. And then on December 15th, we're doing caroling. So we'll be meeting at Authentic Brewery here in town at 6 p.m. and then going out and singing Christmas carols around the community, and then coming back to have a little Christmas party at 7:30. So anybody's invited to that, even if you can't sing. So.
All right. This game of life is a series of moments. The past is just that, the past. Learn from it and be thankful for it. The future, prepare for it. It's coming. Let's get to the next one. The present is a gift. Enjoy the journey. Take plenty of pictures, but most importantly, thank God. It's time to clean the clippers, sweep the floors. Boy, I guess I got the bathroom again. Y'all just wait. Y'all just wait till y'all get back. I'm gonna make sure the bathroom extra nasty for y'all when y'all come back. I got the bathroom. In the words of Rita Lawson's son, Odabo Jack, the shop is closed.